Hello and welcome. I'm Dan Genovese with EnerCom, and I'm here today with Chris Kalnin. He's the CEO of BKV Corporation. BKV seeks to invest in attractive upstream oil and gas opportunities in North America. Chris, good to see you today.
Dan, good to be here.
Now, I want to remind everybody that Chris and BKV will be presenting at the Oil and Gas Conference coming up next week on Wednesday, August 18th at 9:40 a.m. That's Mountain Time. They're also available for one-on-ones for investors that want to dig a little deeper into their story and meet with Chris and find out a little bit more about what they're up to. I'll start, Chris, by asking the question, what do you think about gas prices and the recent rally? And is this a lasting trend?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dan. You look at the prices right now, and you kind of look at last year and this year, and you think, "Whoa, what happened?" Right? I mean, we were in sub $2 land in 2020, and COVID, and everything looked bleak, and now we're seeing $4 plus gas in the summer. It seems like a tale of two worlds. Your question about whether I think it's lasting, it's very interesting how producers, including ourselves, have responded. I think. We've had sort of 10 years of chronic oversupply of natural gas, which has led to sort of this lulling of expectation that gas is always going to be sub $3. And I think we're starting to see the ends of that world. I think we're starting to see the low cost inventory has been depleted, which a lot of analysts and fundamental analysis has been indicating. And we're into a period of time now where we're starting to see price pressure, particularly with LNG being so strong, particularly with the power gen really taking up the demand this summer. So I do see us on an upward trend in gas. I think $4 is not sustainable. I think we could bring on a huge amount of supply at those prices, but somewhere north of 3 probably makes sense for a longer term trend. And so I do think we're into a sort of an upward trend in the cycle, and we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and I see you guys are doing something very interesting. You had a press release this week, and it looks like you guys have invested in a power plant. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision and what that means for BKV?
Yeah, we've been looking at this for a while. And in fact, a lot of folks have talked about the synergy between a gas business and a combined cycle natural gas fired power plant, which essentially combusts natural gas to make electricity. And so there's a lot of synergy between those two businesses. As we started thinking through our growth plans and our strategy, we really felt like pushing towards the customer, the end customer, was key to enhance margin, to help us control our ESG footprint better, to audit that footprint, and to be able to leverage the discontinuities in the market. When you think about times where power prices move up and gas prices are down, or vice versa, the ability to be able to play on both commodities really gives you a lot more tools in your tool set. So for those reasons, we really felt like it was the right time. This opportunity came up. It's really close to our assets, and we're feeding natural gas directly into this power plant. So we think there's a lot of synergy there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something that you cover a little bit more in depth in your presentation on Wednesday, and certainly something that investors will want to dig into and pick your brain on a little bit. How do you see the energy transition affecting your business as a natural gas producer?
Yeah, it's been a really rapid change in phenomenon, I would say. Overall, from sort of 2 years ago, where folks were talking about it, but it wasn't really sort of, hey, we need to do something, to, okay, we need to have certification, we need to have baselines, we need to have targets. So I think where it's really shown up is sort of this desire to start measuring, baselining, and being able to articulate what, as an E&P company, what we're actually doing around our carbon footprint. And the other thing that's really affected is just the almost the license to operate if you're not doing something. I think there's a very strong investor sentiment that says, hey, if you don't have a serious, credible plan here, we're not sure you're going to be around in 10 years. And I think it's become sort of table stakes. At BKV, I think we're taking it another level. I think we see ourselves going net zero much faster than anyone else in our industry. For example, by 2023, fully scope 1 and 2, and then within this decade, scope 3. And we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of where we go in our presentation. But essentially, we want to be on the tip of the spear here, on the leading edge. We see this as a trend to stay, and it's going to create opportunities and challenges for all of us.
Yeah, and we'll have some companies. Well, first of all, there'll be a lot of conversation around ESG, around methane mitigation, and some of these other aspects of becoming cleaner producers for sure at the conference. There's a lot of we see a lot of opportunity. We see several mergers happening. What do you see in the landscape of mergers and acquisitions in the industry as a whole, and then for BKV?
Yeah, I think it's going to be active. Honestly, Dan, in the next couple of years, I think we're going to continue to see this trend. We've come from a world where prices were depressed. Cost was there as a pressure point. Investor sentiment has been pretty negative. And for a while, capital was basically evacuated the space of our industry. And so what you're seeing now is, commodity prices have rallied. Economies of scale have been realized and are being realized. You're seeing capital return to the space. And so now we're into a phase where it makes sense. Bigger is better. It makes sense to bolster the company. And we're seeing that. Now, for us, I think we would like to participate. We've done a number of asset transactions. We are exploring all sorts of deals. And so we continue to be watching that. We're generally an M&A shop. We do a lot of deals, and so we're very active in the market. But I think this trend and the capital coming back into the E&P space is continuing, and will continue into 2022. So we're very excited. I think valuations are going to reset at a higher level as well. So we'll have to be watching that. But I think it bodes well for for those who like M&A. This is a great time to be in the energy space.
Yeah, I think consolidation is going to be the name of the game kind of moving forward as well. Strategic consolidation for sure, to lower cost, to improve efficiencies and footprint too. So I agree wholeheartedly with you. So as we wrap up, what do you see next on the horizon for BKV as you look out the next 12, 24, 36 months?
Yeah, I mean, we have three vectors of our growth, right? The first is really around our E&P business, scaling that up, driving our return on capital employed, driving our efficiency of capital, generating nice cash flow. We really are a cash flow machine in terms of the way we built the company, and using technology to get there. The second vector is what we've done with the power plant. It's really all about getting into the value chain, moving closer to the customers, owning pipes, owning and distribution of our energy. And the third vector is really around carbon negative businesses. And we see an opportunity around CCUS for us. We see that as a very exciting angle. It fits well with our core competency. So we see those three vectors, our carbon positive businesses, our carbon negative businesses, leading us to sort of a sustainable energy company. And we think that's going to be exciting. And then hopefully at some point we'll hit the public markets and maybe do an IPO soon. So we'd love to do that.
Well, it sounds exciting, and certainly I think people are going to be really interested in hearing your story at the conference. Again, you'll be presenting on Wednesday, August 18th, 9:45 a.m. Mountain Time. Encourage everybody to dial in if you're attending virtually. Certainly we'll have a good in-person presence here in Denver. And if you're interested in hearing more from Chris about BKV, I encourage you to sign up for a one-on-one meeting so that you can go ahead and get all the questions you have answered. Chris, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week in Denver.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Have a great one.